stand-up comedy in the modern sort of sense,
Mm.
which is very much influenced by America, ultimately is probably 15 years old in India, maybe
Mm.
10, like 15 to 20, but 15
Yeah.
really.
So you got in like
Yeah.
just after it sort of started.
Yeah, there was a few people who were doing it and had started making a career out of it, and many of them still continue.
Mm.
So yeah, it's very recent. It's
Mm,
we are
mm.
very much. People keep saying we are in our Lenny Bruce years of comedy, and Lenny Bruce will just keep getting arrested. And yeah, there's an element of that in India. I'm not quite at that level, but you can get arrested potentially for something you say in a comedy show, which
really?
is not. Yeah, it doesn't happen everywhere.
What would you have to say?
Well, you.
One of my favourite stories of anything to do with CBD was
Yeah.
I was in Switzerland,
Okay.
of all places. I was driving around Switzerland in a Fiat 500 with a friend of mine, and we were at one of the lakes. And thank you for joining me, by the way. I should say,
Lovely to be here.
lovely to be here. We bought so they don't have legal weed in Switzerland, but they have legal CBD. So you go into a grocery store, doesn't really matter, and they'll have like a CBD section. And they actually had a CBD, what looked like a joint in a container.
Okay.
And we're like, okay, we'll give it a go. We'll try it. So we bought it, go out, and my friend starts to smoke it, and a police car drives past, and he hides it. And I'm like, why are you hiding this?
Yeah.
You just made it look really dodgy when
Now
we
it
just bought
looks
something
bad.
legal from the
Yeah.
store. Nothing happens. And so he keeps smoking it. 5 minutes later, the car drives back and he hides it again. And I was like, what are you doing? We just talked about this. And the car pulls up next to us, and it's a tiny little Swiss police car. And two of the biggest police officers I've ever seen, two Arnold Schwarzeneggers, basically like unfold from this car, like bigger than both of us.
Yeah.
Right. Massive and hench and real scary.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God. And they come up to us and they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And whereas like, it looks like a joint in our hands, it's like that big in their hands. And he like pulls it out and plucks it away from my friend. And it's like, what is this? And I was like, it's legal. We bought it from the store. It's like they sell it there. It's CBD.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you have receipt? And I was like, no, don't have a receipt.
No
We
receipts.
it's like we got it came in a little spliff shaped container.
Yeah.
And it had a little barcode on it. And so I like went and like grabbed and like gave him
Yeah.
this thing, and he just sort of looks at it and he goes, is it good? And we were like, yes, it's
That's a
nice,
nice-
just kind of cozy. And he goes, okay.
Yeah.
And like hands it back, and then they fold into their car
That's
and
so
drive off.
funny. That's a nice. In the end, that was a nice moment, I guess.
It turned out
Yeah.
it was like, oh, we might end up in Swiss prison.
Yeah, which I don't know what's
It
on
might
what's on the
actually be quite
menu.
nice.
You get cheese? You think you get cheese at the Swiss prison?
There's a cheese board.
Cheese board, chocolate for
Yeah.
after dinner.
Yeah, there's no final, what is it called? Final meal. But every night you get a cheese board until your final meal.
Yeah. I was on Swiss Air. I flew in Swiss Air.
All right. I've never flown them before.
Yeah, this is the first time, and I was honestly looking forward to the chocolate and the cheese a bit too much because I assumed like they're just gonna.
It's not like visiting the country.
I just assumed they would just drop it on us, just festoon us with chocolate, and there wasn't
Is that
any.
a thing? I don't know if I've heard much about Swiss Air, if that's a thing. I've heard like
Yeah.
terrifying things about German airlines where they just give you a bunch of cheap stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they did they gave us one chocolate at the end, and it was good, but it was like they were pretty thrifty with it. They didn't just. I thought every meal will have cheese for sure.
I don't like airplane meals.
Yeah,
I got really out of them. I was watching this video the other day, and it was talking about like the water on planes. It's horrifying because basically you go into a bathroom, right, and they say don't drink the water in the sink.
Yeah.
Some people must have done because they were
Sure.
bored of waiting for a cup, so they'll bring their cup in and fill it.
Yeah.
And it's like not potable. But the thing is, that's the same water. It's the same tank that they use to
Are you
fill up.
serious?
Yeah. So the same water they use for like coffees and teas and a cup of water, unless you get a bottle on a plane, it's all the same tank that then goes into the toilet. And it doesn't mean it's going back.
Sure.
But if it's not safe to drink in the bathroom, it shouldn't be safe to drink.
Yeah.
And I think loads of people have got like diseases and things. I don't want to say any particular
Oh,
airline in
man.
case they sue me, but I know it's been a problem
That's
with
a
certain airlines. So
I just keep drinking water on the airplanes. I gotta be more. So you're saying buy a bottle? If
buy
you
a
do-
bottle.
Yeah.
Like they sell bottles as well. So if you can have one on the plane, that's fine. But you don't want a cup or like a coffee.
I sense. I see your point, but my conspiracy theory brain immediately assumes this is the airline company, the big airline is doing this because they want you to buy water. They don't want you to have free water.
That's a good idea.
So they're like, no, it's you can drink this, but it may not be good for you.
I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, I'm always like,
This is
there's
going to be you
someone-
just like filling up all your cups and things in the bathroom. Just in the sink.
Yeah, just fill up for land. No, like later life after I'm off the plane, I've got all the water from the plane for that as well.
You actually save it for later.
Yeah,
Like when
yeah,
you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
flying, you actually only drink plain water.
Yeah,
You go back to the airport just for the water.
Yeah,
It's
drink
so nice.
plain water on land is a real flex. I mean,
This is
not,
the things you get up to when you're a comedian and you've got
Yeah.
time on your hands for
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, this has not come up in. I mean, I live in India, and the tap water in India is not potable, so we never drink tap water.
Right.
So this
what
never
happens
comes
when
up.
you? I know it's a big thing in Mexico. You get
Yeah.
what's it called? Montezuma's Revenge in Mexico. But that's a different thing. I don't know
Yeah.
what it.
Yeah, you probably could get like stomach issues, and I don't know. Never tried it.
Is it a thing where like if you get used to it, you can drink it?
No,
No,
I don't
nobody
think
does.
you just don't drink tap water in India. You drink. I'm sure someone's doing it, and sometimes people have been forced into it. I remember once there was no water at home, so my friends were over and they were really drunk. I gave them tap water. They're still alive, all of them. So it's not that dangerous.
Fair enough. I watched the because I didn't know what you were talking about. So we saw you on Saturday night, which was brilliant, and you were talking about the trains in Mumbai.
Yeah,
And I sort of forgot about it afterwards because that was kind of halfway through.
yeah,
And then I sort of went home and reflected on a lot of what you were talking about.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, I need to look up the trains in Mumbai. And I
Yeah.
did. And I was like, this is insane. I thought you were joking. And you're
No.
like, oh, there's literally just sometimes you watch comedians, you know, like,
Yeah.
surely you're exaggerating
Yeah.
for comedic effect. And it's literally just for people who don't know. Imagine the tube in London, but the doors don't shut.
Yeah.
They're just open.
Yeah.
And people will hop on while the train is moving so they can get a spot, especially at rush hour.
Yeah.
And they sort of push back, they push in before they let people come out.
Yeah.
And they hang outside of the train, which was also
yeah.
kind of mind blowing. They'll
Best
like grab the
seat.
bar, and if there's
Yeah.
enough space,
Sometimes the best seat in the house, they say. That one out there. But yeah, it's true. With often when I'm writing a joke or I'm coming up with an idea, I have this thought of like, am I going too far with is this exaggeration to the point of there's no shred of truth anymore? Which does there have to be truth? That's another debate. But I like the initial point of the joke to start from somewhere real if I can help it. But then no matter how much you exaggerate things like this, public transport in India, I could never exaggerate it to where it's too far from reality.
it really blew my mind.
Yeah. It's you've got to learn how to get on and get off those trains. But I will say, being here in London, I've been here about 10 days now, and it's the heat wave was on. Sometimes it's safer to have the train doors open. There's moments where it's so hot inside the tube. I'm like, you could open it for a few seconds. And
I completely avoid it. I was telling you. I mean, you literally beat me here today because I was cycling. I just cycle around town. I know it's sunny, but I recently read this book, In Defense of Sunlight, and it talks all about how sun is actually really good for you.
Sure.
Essentially, like the beginning of the 20th century, people got scared. They were really into sun, and then later on, they got scared of sun. So there was this big movement. Apparently, like almost every country, I think every single country in the world except Britain had a nudist movement.
Okay.
Because they were like, oh, you must soak up the skin,
Yeah.
the sun all the time.
Yeah.
Except Britain, it was just cloudy and miserable all the time.
Yeah.
There was one, I was learning about this today, there was one like really hot summer in 1976 that I think was hotter than the summer we're having now, but not as consistently. Like now we've got like too many hot days
but
in a
the
row.
peaks were like higher than...
Which is just exhausting. I don't actually know where Mumbai is, where it is on the map, what it's like. I imagine it's probably the same weather there.
Yeah, Mumbai is on the west coast of India. It's a port city. It's the biggest, I would say, the commercial capital of India. So it's west and very central in terms of north south. It's like
And it's right on the coast.
It's on the coast.
So this is what I always say is like particularly there was a really lovely guy who came from, I think he said Doha. And he came to see us in a play a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying the same thing. He said it's really hot here, but like where he's from is coastal, so it sort of feels like it's acceptable for it to be that hot because you've got the breeze. And
I would say Mumbai gets really humid. That's what Mumbai is known for, the humidity. And humidity makes your experience of heat much worse. Like the feels like factor is very important.
I know people say that, but so where I'm originally from is Phoenix, Arizona in the US, and that's dry.
I've lived in Phoenix, Arizona.
You lived in Phoenix?
Yeah, for 2 years. But
What?
Tempe.
What? Why?
Yeah. I went to do my master's degree in power systems engineering from
What, ASU?
Arizona State University.
Oh,
Yes.
right. So then you know.
I
Okay.
know. Dry.
Very, very dry.
Yeah.
I almost prefer the humidity because I know it feels hotter.
Yeah.
It's just the sensation on your skin. It's like
For
I'll go back
sure.
for Christmas. I go back every single Christmas, and it's nicer than it would be at any other time of year.
Yeah.
But the second you get to Sky Harbor Airport, and the doors open,
Yeah.
and you just get blasted with
A
heat.
wall of heat.
There's
It's-
almost a tiny bit of nausea that hits me
Yeah.
when I first experienced
Yeah.
that, and so it's not my favorite.
It's crazy. It's also, but you also have to keep in mind, Phoenix's heat is like a 10 degrees more than like Mumbai gets. It's like 45, 47, I think
Right.
sometimes.
Oh
It's
no, in Phoenix
yeah.
gets up to the 50s.
50s. So
yeah.
that's like you mustn't be in that sunlight
Mm,
ever kind of weather
No.
essentially. And you're right, when it's dry heat, you don't even realize what it's doing to you until sometimes you get home and then you're like, why am I feeling weak? And it's kind of like CBD but without it. It's just CBD from up there.
There's that thing like if you spend too long out in the sun, I don't know if you get this, where like if you've been, for example, lounging by a pool
Yeah.
and you go inside and like your colors are all muted in your eyes.
Yeah.
It's like everything's kind of grayscale.
Uh-huh.
I don't really understand if that's just like too much brightness hitting your. I don't know why that happens, but
Yeah.
I used to get that all the time when I was a kid.
I can't. I do get worried about when you look up and then you see, you see the little
Oh,
floaters.
the floaters. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like I know that everyone sees them, but whenever I see them, like this is not. Why is this a thing? Why am I seeing this?
I remember when I was a kid, I thought they were like, because I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't, like people don't talk. It's not something people talk about.
No.
It's floaters. Everyone kind of knows they exist.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh my God, is there a spirit or something haunting me?
You saw a spirit. That's nice.
No, I didn't see a spirit. I saw like things moving.
Yeah.
And they sort of move like when you don't know what they are and they move with your eyes.
Yeah.
That's kind of because it's just out of the corner of, for example.
Yeah.
And so you move and then it moves
it
over
moves
there.
with it,
And it
yeah.
feels like there's something moving just out of your vision.
Yeah. I wish I thought it's a spirit. I just assumed it's like a tapeworm or something.
Oh.
I knew someone had a tapeworm. Someone that I knew got a tapeworm, and I had never even looked up a tapeworm. I just
Do
assumed
they get in your eyes? Tapeworms?
they don't. That's not their preferred location in your body, but they can get there. Is what I've
Their
heard.
preferred housing.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories of like a tapeworm coming out of a person's eye.
Or
I don't know if
just
it's true.
like alien style.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Chest
That
buster.
Well, I was talking about this with someone the other day. It's like, I think we're the last generation of people who had, when you're growing up and like your mates would just tell you something that
Yeah.
was absolute shite. And you were like,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
way. Like now it doesn't happen anymore. Because,
Yeah.
if you're 10 years old and you go like, this crazy thing, I've got
Yeah.
a friend who like jumped off of this waterfall and like lived to tell the tale. And it's like, you could just look it up and be like, no, that's definitely not true.
That's not possible. But that's killing something in us, a sense of wonder and verifying things is great. But in this sort of when you're a kid and just like people tell you stories and
Oh, it's the best.
yeah, you want to believe it and just. I was in Dublin for a gig this Sunday.
Alright.
And I did a walking tour because when you're just in a city for a few hours, I don't know about you, but I just need to. I feel weird about not doing something there.
Oh, I need to see. I hate
Yeah.
tours. I really, really hate
Yeah.
tours.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd rather just. I've got a thing about that. Like, I feel like, especially with like the internet and AI nowadays, you can
Sure.
like get all the info you want and then kind
True.
of go on your own tour.
This is true.
But if you're like in a place for a few hours and you just want to see it,
Yeah.
it's absolutely fine. I've got nothing against it. It's just
Yeah.
not what I do.
But like this guy, it's a lot depends on the tour guide, right? Like,
yeah.
So he was great, and he had like really nice stories, and he told me this one story, which I again verified. This is what you do now. You verify: is this true? Or
Were
is
you
this
just like proving him wrong while he was saying,
No, I
that's
just,
not true.
just for myself. I'm doing my own tour where I'm like myth busting
Okay,
his
okay,
tour.
okay.
I'm like, now we verify what he said.
Mm.
But he told us this. You know about the Dublin, the whiskey fire of Dublin?
No.
So I think it was 1875,
Okay.
and there was the city was on fire, but it was
Because of
whiskey.
whiskey.
Whiskey leaked out of the distillery.
Oh,
and the whole
wow.
city, like whiskey was flowing, and it was on fire.
Wow.
And to stop it, they used horse manure to stop the flow.
Oh, wow.
So they eventually stopped it, and the
Yeah.
fire went out. And then there's whiskey in the city, and this is Ireland. What do you think they did? They took their shoes off and started drinking the whiskey.
Oh, really?
Everyone just started drinking, and then eventually some of the manure got in the drink,
Yeah, of course.
and then it got on their face, and that's the origin of getting shit faced.
Is it?
Yeah.
My favorite is I think I learnt this in an Orwell book. I could be wrong. What is it called? Down and Out in Paris and London. It's one of my favorite books I've ever read. And he talks about. Have you read the book?
No, I've only read the big one.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah,
1984.
classic.
Yeah. I haven't
Animal
even read
Farm.
Animal Farm yet, but I've read 84.
This is a really good one. It's arguably, when you read his books about his actual life,
Yeah.
they're insane. And you're like, I didn't realize it wasn't a fiction for like the first couple of chapters. I thought it was just a weird story, and I was like, this is reading like it's someone talking about their life, and it was. Basically, he came from a really wealthy family, Orwell, but he decided to just leave. I don't know why. He just kind of wanted to see the world and do his own thing. And so he went and lived around the world. He was in the war, I think in Spain, for Catalonia.
Yeah, there's a book on the whole Spanish part of his life, I think.
And that was a very good book as well. Which I sort of learned because I went to Spain and I didn't really understand. There was a load of people in a big protest wearing Spanish flags. And I was like, I feel like I need to understand more about this. And so I read that. But yeah, so what is it? Down and Out in Paris and London. He goes to Paris and he's basically homeless, but he's working, and it feels like a Wes Anderson thing. He works in like the basement of this Parisian hotel, and it's like all the posh people are up in these gorgeous, massive rooms with these big windows, and all the people are working down in like the dark, hellish style, I guess, kitchens.
Yeah, it's like Downton Abbey. I think,
but more extreme.
Yeah, more extreme. Yeah.
You're like, there's no windows. It's just a dark furnace, and you're just covered in soot and food. And you like bring it up in the dumbwaiter or whatever. So he did that. But then he came back to London because he was like sick of being in France after a while. And so then he was down and out in Paris and London. So he came back to London, and he talks all about like what it was like to be homeless in that time. And people would move around, they were homeless, and they would just like kind of travel between different places in London. And there was all these like shelters you could stay at, and you could stay at everything. There was some places you could stay at for free, and they would be like an old mental hospital or something. But they turned it into a homeless shelter, so you could queue up and only a certain amount of people could get in every night. If you'd stayed there, you couldn't stay there for like another few months or weeks or something like that because they had your name on a list. But what a lot of people did is they would stay. There's different prices for places that you could stay at. One of which was literally just a bunch of coffins stacked next to each other on the floor, no lid. And that was one of the cheapest places. Yeah, literally. And that was one of the cheapest places you could stay at. So there was like almost like B&Bs that were really cheap for homeless people. And it's just like the shittest. A big room with just loads of beds next to each other. And you're sleeping next to drunks and homeless people and everyone who's staying there. But even cheaper, bunch of coffins next to each other. Just a room, imagine almost like graph paper, just a room full of coffins. And you'd have to step through people's coffins because it'd be like, all right, row A4 or whatever. And you'd get in that coffin and sleep there for the night. But the cheapest possible one, and this was the point of my whole thing, was the origin of the term hangover. Right. The cheapest possible place you could stay in London in the 20th century if you were homeless was a bench outside, and they would have a thin rope that you would hang your arms over, and you would sleep like this. Right. And then in the morning, about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, when it was time to like get the fuck up and go home, they would snip the rope. And so you'd all fall over and you'd wake up by basically hitting your head on the floor, and you get up and go. And that was the cheapest possible one. So it was called a hangover for that reason, because it was like the pain of hitting your head when you woke up in the morning.
My head. Wow. Yeah. Did you look that up? Do you think that's the...
It's true. There's pictures of it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm always skeptical about these origin stories, but when they're true, they're really... That's really cool. Because sometimes it's got to be true, right? Sometimes there is a real story. So this is one of those.
My favorite thing is we were talking the other day about fairy tales as well, like origins of fairy tales. Yeah. And I wanted to actually tell you this. I was like, I need to bring this up on the podcast. It's just one of those tidbits of information.
Yeah.
Was the original. So we were talking about Cinderella, and we're like, what's Cinderella? And I was like, I think it's French. My partner was like, no, it's Grimm's fairy tales. Turns out it was actually ancient Greek. Some guy, I can't remember his name, Charles Perrault or something like that, in the 15 or 1600s, I think 1600s, wrote Cindrillé, I don't remember, Cinderella in French.
Basically, yeah.
And then the Grimm's fairy tales wrote like the darker version in the 1800s. But the original translation of Glass Slipper that this French guy took from the ancient Greek, he mistranslated fur slipper into glass slipper. And so that's why Cinderella has the glass shoes that she loses. It's actually supposed to be just like a fur slipper or a fur shoe, just like a normal
translating error. And that became the most...
And it stuck.
Yeah, that's kind of the best visual of the whole thing. Like that's like... I think it's much better with the glass
Oh,
slipper.
as opposed to like fur or mink or
Yeah.
whatever, Louis Vuitton, like.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's incredible.
It's just so funny that like someone fucked up a translation in the
Yeah.
1600s, and it's like probably one of the most popular mistranslations
Yeah.
of all time.
I was thinking about the other day because Christopher Nolan's new film's out, right?
I
The
love all the
Odyssey.
memes. Have you seen the memes online about this?
What is it?
It's different people watching the Odyssey on different things,
Oh,
and the caption is
as intended,
as
as
intended.
Nolan intended it. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the phone, just sticking it to
like
the
a
wall.
like a Game Boy SP or like
I love it. I
it's
love
great.
because he's so insistent that you must watch it in IMAX that you've got to do the joke then.
Yeah, of course.
Also, it's not only I want to watch it in IMAX, but it just sells out. There are only so many IMAX theaters.
I don't want to see it in general. I'm not that bothered
not
about
that
like seeing
bothered.
people's feet. There's the other meme about like the guy taking the helmet off
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
Epstein.
So you only see that in IMAX. Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
yeah.
You
You
don't
don't see his. You only see to there.
Well,
the
I'd
normal
rather
version.
skip IMAX then. But apparently, because his stuff is like trending now because the movie's out,
Right.
Nolan, and he's doing promotions and blah blah. They were talking about some reel I saw on Instagram about how Inception is fully inspired by one Japanese anime, I think, and it's like
it's
shot for shot in some cases.
God, what is it? It's people are going to be screaming it right now who are listening to this podcast. It's a very famous film.
Dream related something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name. It's one word. It's a Japanese film. It's brilliant. It's a woman's name, and it's very like trippy, dreamlike, nightmarish. I can't remember. I have seen it, but I forget the name at the moment.
Like I saw some of the shots, and I'm like, I feel like this is too inspired to not be mentioned openly in
I
the
think
credits.
that's okay though. I like that. I like
Yeah?
when people get inspired and sort of steal stuff. It's like what's the guy who does Frankenstein? I always forget his name. The newest Frankenstein film.
Oh yeah, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, and he's like a big fan of anime as well. Like he'll
Okay.
just steal stuff, which is fine. I think that's okay. Like if you get
Interesting.
really inspired, what is it? Good artists borrow, great artists steal.
Fair enough,
You know,
man.
William Shakespeare, classic example. He didn't invent a single one of his stories. They were all taken from somewhere else.
Ah.
William Shakespeare didn't exist. That's a fun
Yeah,
fact.
I've heard that. Is that for sure? He didn't
That's
exist.
100%. Yeah, I used to nerd out about this. So there's a, what is it called? It's called the Shakespeare Authorship Coalition. And it's run by big famous actors who have made their living off of doing Shakespeare plays. So it's like Derek Jacobi and Mark Rylance and a couple of like professors and scholars. And they will debate people. What is it? It's the Shakespeare Birth Trust or something like that. They're the people who run Stratford upon Avon. And so they're very adamant that Shakespeare did exist because obviously all their tourism money goes into
Yeah, it's not good for them.
Yeah.
It's proven that he didn't.
Yeah, and the whole thing people say about Shakespeare is, oh, what? Are you saying that someone couldn't have come from a working class background and written all these brilliant plays?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's exactly what we're saying. Because right now, it could happen.
Yeah.
Back then, people didn't have access to all the knowledge that we have now. You couldn't go into a library and learn about stuff. And people don't realize that Shakespeare's plays are full of like loads of knowledge, like botany, military stuff. Like every Italian play references cities in Italy. Working class people did not travel in the 1600s, 15 and 1600s.
So is it a combination of people then? Is that what we assume?
There's actually a debate. There's different people who think it was a different person. So it was either a woman or a very rich man or a group of people. Or I think the strongest one, and I can't remember anyone's name or who they exactly were, but there was one very rich man who supposedly had a secret gay lover. And people think it might have been him because this secret sort of, what's the word? Not mistress, but whatever that would be, Mr., would have had access to his rich gay lover's library. And so in his spare time, when they weren't at it, he'd go and read things. And there's like 4 or 5 different people it potentially could have been.
That's crazy though, because he's like, I think he's too big a symbol now for anyone to be able to break the myth permanently.
No, I don't think we'll ever know.
No.
But there is too much knowledge already out there. There's too many like things you can check. He's like the way he like wrote his signatures, and Shakespeare itself is like a metaphor. There's a Greek goddess. She like shakes her spear. I can't remember which one she is, but she's like the goddess of knowledge, and so it's like a pen name. Apparently, like there was a supposed Shakespeare, the supposed kid from Stratford upon Avon, which is the whole reason they tell that story. I think like died in a fire, or there was something like that. So there was like a bunch of kids who like died from some horrible incident. Can't remember exactly what it was. And so there's no connection to an actual person. There's just a person who appears years later. And it was most likely very rich person or a very rich group of people or a woman,
Yeah.
all of which would not acceptably be able to be a playwright in the time.
That's why they had to create a
Pen name.
pseudonym. And
Mm.
what about the big film that won the Oscars then recently,
Which one?
Hamnet?
Oh,
That's about his real
I mean,
son,
yeah.
isn't it?
Well,
A real son of a not real person.
I don't actually know how much they know about that. There's like apparently different because that was the thing about his kids. So they're like, oh no, but there's proof that Shakespeare had loads of kids. And it's like, well, no. There were some kids that might have been attributed to this person that didn't exist. And the really interesting thing about there's a signature. You only hear about some of the kids, I think, from some people. I don't actually remember where the Hamnet thing comes from. But his daughter, one of his young daughters, was the only child who had any sort of signature that they could prove tied back to anyone. And her signature famously was, it was a scribble, which was a lot of working class people's signatures back in the day because they didn't know how to write. So they would just, if you needed to sign a legal document, it would just be a scribble. And one of the biggest arguments on behalf of this Shakespeare authorship coalition is, if she was born from one of the most arguably the most famous writer of all time, why did she not know how to write?
Maybe she's rebelling against her father.
Maybe.
You never know, man.
Were you a rebel?
Yeah. I think in my own way, I think I was a rebel while on the face of it doing exactly what I was expected to do for a long time.
But you started, well, was like comedy a rebellious thing for you? Or?
No, I started real. I was telling someone just today. I started at 27, so it's not like I got into it. I had a whole life before comedy. I did like my usual.
You say it like you're trying to push yourself away. I had a life before comedy.
No,
I am a person.
I don't mean it. I honestly, I wish I didn't. I wish I'd started earlier. I just got straight into it. But it didn't even strike me as a thing to do and as a viable career. Forget career. I didn't think that's something you can even do in India where I was living.
From what I mean, I don't know that much about comedy in India, but I imagine it probably wasn't, because it feels like it's a thing that's really come up in America.
Fairly
starting
recent,
to become, it has been a thing in the UK, and it feels like it's kind of trickling out to the rest of the world now.
Yeah, I would say stand-up comedy in the modern sort of sense, which is very much influenced by America, ultimately is probably 15 years old in India, maybe 10, like 15 to 20, but 15 really.
So you got in like just after it sort of started.
Yeah, there was a few people who were doing it and had started making a career out of it, and many of them still continue. So yeah, it's very recent. It's very much. People keep saying we are in our Lenny Bruce years of comedy, and Lenny Bruce will just keep getting arrested. And yeah, there's an element of that in India. I'm not quite at that level, but you can get arrested potentially for something you say in a comedy show, which is not. Yeah, it doesn't happen everywhere.
What would you have to say?
Well, you might be someone might say you're disturbing like the peace or you're hurting religious sentiments. That's a big one that's used a lot,
right?
But usually it's like the mechanics of it is someone politically connected will get someone in trouble for their own gains, because that's how you move up the political ladder. So everyone has targets. Just like
God, you can get in trouble for that anyway.
Yeah.
It's a really weird thing. We were talking before the podcast about the other night when you performed, and you like, and you told me this on the radio before, that you like would like to sort of like poke fun at the football thing.
Yeah.
And England had just lost the semis, and you sort of like I don't remember what you said exactly, but you sort of like sprinkled it at the start. And there was that one guy that was like sore subject, mate. And it's like there's obviously a big movement in comedy at the moment. I think it's still going quite strong. It's not as big as it was, but the whole like thing about like offending people versus saying things that you can and can't say. And it does, I think the format is so big. It's not like movies where every single person watches it. It's so unique and specific to people that it feels like if you want to be an edgelord comedian, you can be that, and there will be an audience for that. And if you don't want to do that, and if you want to be like very child friendly, people give the example of like Michael McIntyre in the UK is very just like for everyone.
Yeah.
You can do that as well. And that's fine. And it doesn't seem, I don't know, it's a weird one, like to sort of like judge people for their type of comedy.
Yeah, I feel like you're right in the sense if stand up worked in that way alone, which is just come watch it live. You know, it's meant to be a live experience live. Every comedian is trying to get you to watch them live one way or another. All the stuff that goes online is really to get you to watch them do the next show live. So it's great if you can come and watch it live, and then you find the comic you like and just watch their stuff, and then you're with peers who enjoy that. But the problem is to find those people. Comedians have to put their stuff up online increasingly, so and that's where things can get clipped up and taken out of context. It's very easy to be taken out of context in stand up because you can literally sometimes be saying a sentence but you mean the opposite, and your crowd knows that. But an Instagram or a TikTok reel or whatever won't convey that, or it will to the right people but won't convey that to the wrong people. And
Have you had that happen?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is a funny one. This isn't a controversial one, but I keep quoting this to my comedian friends. I put out a joke on Instagram early on where I wasn't posting a lot. So it was like one of my first reels that really got some traction. And it's a really stupid joke. It's an anti-joke, basically. I'll try to tell the joke, although it won't make that much sense because there's a very Indian thing in it.
Okay.
But in India, when you get in an Uber, we have a one-time password thing.
Oh yeah, we've got that.
Oh, you got that here? So it's just that I got in an Uber and and the guy said OTP, and I said whatever one-time password. I said 1821, and he said sorry, I missed it, and I'm like, one-time password. Does it say TTP? And it's all really stupid lines
That's
after
very
that.
dumb. Yeah.
It's saying like, I'm sorry, and I said I get off the cab. I'm like, I can't trust you if you can't hear the one-time password. And it would kill in live shows because they've already seen me do stand-up, and then I give them that.
I feel like you need to build to it as well. There's
Yes.
certain jokes that like are really dumb when you just take them on the one. It's like when you try to show people a comedian that you really like, and you're like, oh, he's doing this tonight. Do you want to go along? And they look at like one joke out of context, and you're like, he didn't. It's such a weird format.
Yeah, so that's what happened when I put it online, and I only realized because it was early on. I didn't think about these things. I'm like, half the comments were like getting it, but increasingly so people were like, why is this even funny? And I was like, of course I see why you don't find it funny, and you don't have context for it. Although I would hope you could figure out that a guy wouldn't say such stupid lines and mean it. Like the only option is he's being ironic or he's being anti-comedy about it. But a lot of people don't know that.
I don't know if you've seen, I don't know if this is a thing in India, but I always said like, because I didn't go that far, and I was telling you the other day, I didn't go that far in comedy. I did like a course, and then I did a couple of open mics. And like, especially at that level, there's three different types of comedians. There's people who aren't very good. They're just kind of doing it.
Yeah.
There's people who you can tell are going to get better.
Yeah.
And like, they maybe aren't the best yet, but you're like, oh, some of their jokes are really good. And like, they're almost there.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're actually coming to open mics because they want to try really hard.
Yeah.
And there's people, the third group is what I can only describe as people who are like really mentally unwell.
Yeah, sure.
And they just go on and like say stuff
Yeah.
and they're not okay. And it's like, you sort of realize after 4 or 5 jokes that like, they're not actually telling jokes. They're just kind of saying stuff, and they're like not an okay person.
Yeah.
There's a guy who like I went to see some friends of mine who had done the course with me.
Yeah.
And this is just the prime example. And this wasn't the only time this had happened, but this guy, he sort of looks not okay. But like sometimes you're like, okay, he's just kind of a weird guy, weird character. And he sort of started to talk, and he said that it had just been Valentine's Day, and he was lonely because he didn't have a girlfriend. And you're like, and then he said in order to entertain himself, he cut up his pubes. He cut off his pubes and then cut them up, put them in foil, put them in the microwave, and then watched them burn as like it sort of, he put the popcorn timer on. And you sort of realize, and you're like, oh, there's no punchline.
There's nothing more.
And then you go, oh, he actually did this, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's the type of guy who goes home and cuts up his pubes and watches them burn in the microwave.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, those people are at the open mics as well.
For sure.
Which is horrifying.
I feel like I've seen more of that here in my brief time in the UK and Edinburgh. Like, you really... Well, there is an element of people playing a character, which they do a lot in the UK. We don't have a lot of that yet in India. It's more straight up stand up. But with the characters, some of the characters are meant to be unhinged and absolutely.
If it's a character, I think
yeah.
that's like I see that more with American comedians than
Yeah.
British comedians. It's definitely a thing. What's that
Yeah.
guy? Josh Gad? Not
Yeah.
Josh Gad. Is that right? The
There
guy
is
who's
a guy called
Baby
Josh Gad.
Reindeer.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's British, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I know it's a thing.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, that's not quite his comedy anymore. I think he's started to do a little bit more like stand-up-y type comedy, and that was what he used to do. So it's definitely it exists.
I think in the clubs, yeah, you I see what you mean. If you just pop into a random dingy stand-up venue or like a room above a pub or something, you might run into one of these elements every now and then who's just like not well.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get that in India
which
too. You
can
get
be
that,
fun.
Yeah.
It can be. You can be fun. Like, but it's just this isn't quite what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah, you kind of have to display an element of control with stand up so the audience feels comfortable. They know that, yeah, this person, they can take the reins. They know what they're doing. But when they're actually unhinged versus when they're playing unhinged, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
You can tell when someone is still playing it, even though they push it to the limits often. I've seen it in the Fringe as well.
So how did you get started then? At 27, what was did you see some stand up and you were like, I'll give it a go?
I used to watch stand up. I used to I would say, I don't want to say class clown, but I was definitely the one in the group who was in charge of the just starting the humor part of the conversation, I guess.
Right.
And that's all I would do at one point, to a fault, where people are like, all right now we've moved on from the funny part. We're having serious conversation. And I would be like, I have nothing.
We're in the middle of an exam.
Yeah, I have nothing
Stop
to
making
contribute in this part of the life.
Yeah.
So I was always into it. I don't know. Some would say I'm an only child. There's some element of like.
Wait, some would say you're an only child.
No, I'm saying that's.
What would others
Some would say I'm an only child, and others have
say
seen
I have
my
a sister, but I've not seen them in 5 years.
I think being an only child, you spend a lot of time in your head, and also you're always trying to play to an audience because you don't have a sibling who's always by your side. You're always like someone's facing you and you're trying to impress them. I think there's some element of that.
Or you're vying for parental attention.
Sure, yes. And then I also changed schools a lot, and so you keep getting into new groups and you've got to get in, and humor is always the best way, I feel. So I would inadvertently use humor to make new friends. So that was always there. But then I just forgot about all that. I did my engineering, I did my master's in Arizona. And stand-up was never something I even thought of doing. It's when I was coming back to India in end of 2015, after working in the US for a couple of years. I just started looking up what's happening in India in terms of entertainment, and because I'm going back, and then I've been in the US, so you're in the US, you're in America mode. You don't think too much about culture back home. But then I started looking up what's happening culturally in India, and there was stand-up. I just found stand-up on YouTube, Indian stand-up. And I was like, this is interesting. And then when I came back, I went to watch a gig with some friends, and it's this. You'll hear this from a lot of stand-ups. I was very arrogant about. I told my friends, like, I could probably do this if I wanted to.
I think that's what a lot of people think about anything. I remember because like I'm primarily an actor.
Yeah.
And I remember going to like high school plays and things like that as an audience member, going to watch like a girlfriend or something who was in the show, and I was like, God, these people are shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I could do this way better.
Yeah.
And I remember that was like kind of the thing. And then I just started doing it.
Yeah, but there's that journey there. Like, where I said that and I didn't do it eventually. Then my friend was like, well, you said you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Then put
You
your
got big
money where your
talk.
mouth is. I did it. And when you do it, then you realize, okay, it's not the same as being funny in a group. And you get humble again. So you go through that. And then you build up to some level of confidence. That's what happened. Because I didn't do great when I started, and I felt.
I don't think anyone does. I think there's like a couple of like gems, like the really just perfect, like someone like Robin Williams, for example.
Yeah.
It was just like always just amazing.
Like a force of nature kind of thing. And also with my style, it's you never come. I'm not coming out and punching you with jokes.
It's very different from anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't seen any one like my style
No,
before?
like not in. Not really in Britain. No,
Yeah.
there's not many like very low key people.
Yeah.
Or if they're low key, they keep it for a bit and then they'll sort of punch it up.
Yeah.
And like someone who I've seen a couple of times, and I had him on the radio as well, as Dan Tiernan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I love Dan
he's
Tiernan.
the opposite of you.
Yeah, I know.
In, like, every
I love
way.
Dan. He's
Yeah.
so full of energy.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
He's in your face.
Yeah, and I saw
Yeah.
him in the same space that I saw you, and so it's interesting to like.
Yeah.
It's not one is better than the other.
Yeah, it's
you're
totally
both
different.
like entirely different.
Yeah. I do say, I don't know if I said it the night you were there, but I sometimes say there are two kinds of comedians, still and sparkling.
You did.
I'm the
I
still
think your
kind.
opening.
Yeah.
that was great.
I like to establish that that's what you're getting. Yeah, there's something,
very
because stand up is performing. And I would argue what I do is pull back to a level where that's performance as well. It's almost hard to get on a stage and
not
and hold back so much because you have the need to project and perform.
Yeah.
But I can't explain where it comes from. I've always had this style. I've never been full of energy. I've never gone out to impress.
You didn't try like different things when you were starting stand. Did you do a course or did you just do it?
No, I just did it. I signed up for an open mic. I got a couple of laughs. I was like, I'll keep doing it. That was it. But of course, if I go here, but you've changed. Like if I hear my first ever recordings that I have of stand up, I can sense.
Of course, you get better.
Yeah, you get more confident in your style over time, and you find your style. But it was always like, I guess fundamentally, I was never overly trying to impress the crowd. You are always trying to impress the crowd as a performer, but there's an element in me of like, I don't really care if you're having a good time. And I think this is funny to me. This is what you get. But you gotta keep a balance of like humility and arrogance in that. Like it's also, I am very concerned about will this joke work.
Do you know Top Secret Comedy Club?
Yeah.
And there's the two guys. I don't actually know how you pronounce his name. Gabemi or Gemi or Bemi, African name, but they're both British guys. And the other guy's Andrew Mencher.
Okay.
And they do like they do almost every night at Top Secret Comedy Club. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And Andrew Mencher, he came on and did this set, and it was like because they're so good because they go on every night, and their crowd work is the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Really, really good, and like they've just got reels that are always popping off as well. But he came out and he did this set because he's just so like in it.
Yeah.
And it was like he was like bored to be there. And the comedy was great, but it was all layered with like, oh, I can't believe I'm out here wasting my time on you lot.
That's funny.
And it's really good. It's just a different style, and you're sort of like at the start you're like kind of fuck you, but then you realize it's all part of the act. and you're like, this is great.
Yeah, it's I've noticed that more in the UK, and I'm trying to imbibe it somewhat in my stand-up, which is there's the show, there's the act, and then there is the person doing the act, and he's got sometimes another whole thing going. It's often what you say between the written lines that often pop the most.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Obviously, because they're seeing behind the curtain for a second.
There's people, like they always say, I think like comedians talk about like, if you can make them laugh without saying anything.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of people who do that. I don't know if that's like, the analogy they sort of like make it as is like, if you can do that, then you're amazing. That's better. It's better to make people laugh without saying anything. And it's like, well, but there's some comedians who are really good because they say things.
Correct. There's different, I mean, there's no one size fits all with comedy. There is, in fact, I often, like when you start out in comedy and you do it for a few years, someone always comes up, and this happens everywhere, right? They're going to ask you for tips about how to do stand-up. I often feel like my only advice is that I shouldn't be in a place to give you too much advice, because you really ultimately want to be unique. And it's something we say like it's said to death, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of people who just start sounding like a certain person, and we see that in Indian stand-up, in all stand-up. There's someone who makes it big, and then suddenly you have like the
You get a bunch of
imitators.
mimics.
Yeah. And you just, I guess I've always been first and foremost about, I just want to sound like me, and
I think you have to.
yeah.
It's like, it's similar to, well, it's like any art form, really. I mean, music, you can kind of get away with it.
Yeah.
Loads of people who sort of like copy a similar style of someone.
Yeah.
You get like a bunch of punk bands who sound like Fall Out Boy, for example.
Correct.
They might be successful, but they're no Fall Out Boy. And they might make a career, they might make a living off of it. Acting, I think, is quite similar as well. Like, you have to be quite unique in that respect. But comedy particularly.
Yeah, I feel like acting comedy, because ultimately it's a person, a three-dimensional person who is on stage and has to shine through. And the audience can sense when you're being sort of facetious
Yeah,
or
I think even more so in comedy though.
yeah,
Like acting, you can sometimes
Yeah.
get away with it.
because it is acting.
Yeah, yeah, and that was something that was really weird. I was telling you about that play that I did a couple of weeks ago, and it was 35 degrees in this theatre. It was absolutely roasting. There was an aircon, but it was basically doing nothing.
Yeah.
It was on the audience, and I was there in like a full like thick jacket as well, and I'd get really upset. We put an interval in.
Yeah.
It was quite a short play, but we put in an interval just because it was so hot, and we're like,
Yeah.
we need to give people a chance to go outside and
Yeah.
like get some water,
Yeah.
feel the wind on their skin.
Yeah.
And I was so upset because we do the whole first part of the play, and like you kind of know where you need to be sad or happy or
Yeah.
angry or whatever. So you do it. And people are like, oh my God, that was so good. That was so good. And you're like, well, great. Because I felt fucking nothing. All I felt was it's hot. I feel nothing
Yeah.
internally. And I would get really upset at the interval.
Yeah.
And I turned to my partner who I was doing the play with. And I was like, I feel nothing. This is horrible. I feel nothing. I can't even be upset properly right now because I feel nothing about feeling nothing.
Yeah.
But you can get away with it because you're an actor.
Sure.
I think comedy,
Yeah.
I think people know.
Yeah, I feel like to an extent you get away with it, but I see what you mean. Like there are nights where, for example, I've done like the show that you watched or like whatever show I'm touring at the time. I've done it like 3 times in a row, like in the same night, and sometimes on the third show. There'll be moments where you can find yourself sort of floating away and you're saying words, but you're thinking of something else. And it happens, and you kind of have to. I've over time learned how to sort of pull back into my body by doing something where I don't normally do. I have to like ask a question or deliberately sabotage the flow of the joke.
Okay,
So
yeah.
then I come back and I'm like, okay, now I have to
You have to
control
wrangle it
this
back,
again. Yeah. So you can kind of do it, but you're right. Like the best performances of yours are the ones where you're fully present and you're feeling the emotion behind the whatever you're saying.
Well, so that's what I thought, but I don't actually know if that's true anymore.
Maybe
because,
not.
like, you know, different people would come to see it different nights, and it was people that we know, and they were like, "How did it feel?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, how was it for you?" Because I couldn't feel anything because I was just trying to focus on getting through a very intense play in 35 degrees the whole time, and people really liked it. And we came home one night, and my mother-in-law had come to see it quite a few nights, but it was the first night she came to see it. And I went home that night and I was very upset because I thought I did a bad job. And I sort of like kind of beat myself over the head with it that night. And I was like, it was shit. I need to figure out how to not be hot on stage anymore.
Yeah.
And I asked her, she'd seen 1 or 2 more plays after that. And I was like, which was your favorite? She was like, actually, the first night I came, I think you did the best job. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
I was like, I thought I did a shit job that night, but it's not up to me.
Yeah.
You know, which is nice.
And also, I'm saying this in a nice way. People, not everyone takes it in the same way. Some people, sometimes the first time is going to be the best because that's the time they saw it for the first time. It hits different. You have to really have a keen eye for the art form to watch it over and over again. Probably someone who's your peer can probably tell you like this was the
Someone
night
who
you were
knows
the
what they're
best.
talking about a little bit more.
Yeah, but with the general audience, I often beat myself up after a gig. Like the moment I enter the green room, I'm often just swearing at myself.
Really?
Sometimes I'm just like, because I remember something that I was really pissed off about not getting what I wanted from the audience for. But then when I meet the audience, they can't, like, I don't let them know because I know that they don't need to know.
They don't know the difference.
Yeah.
No, it's like, I mean, I guess you can like flub a line the way you can do with acting, because I think that's the beautiful thing about stand-up is acting. If you're doing it well, people can get lost in it. But I think even more so with stand-up, people have this illusion that you're just coming out and talking.
Yeah.
Which sometimes you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're coming up with stuff on the spot, but for the most part, you're following your script.
Yeah, but it is true that I certainly, for example, over time I've learned to, I don't want to say every sentence the same way. But
No, God,
yeah.
no.
So, and I some sentences I won't finish, and that's a deliberate choice too. Because in conversation, like what I just did, that's conversation.
Yeah.
You have a new thought, and you shift to that thought. But that's all written, of course. You write those thoughts as well, and the phrasing.
It must be a. Is this a thing? I'm wondering. I don't know how to analogize this. The best way I can describe it is with acting. Is like with acting, I would pay attention. For example, sometimes I really, really try to pay attention. Almost another layer of our conversation that we're having now to the pace at which we interrupt each other in conversation, so that when you are acting on stage, you are natural because you know the lines so well, and to everyone else who's watching, they think you're having a real live
Yeah.
conversation for the first time and coming up with thoughts in the moment, but you have to recreate that in a film or on a stage. You have to recreate like the way you're going. Yeah, the interruption in conversation. Is there like, do you play with that pacing as well?
Yeah, but I mean, how do you mean? Because it's just me and the audience.
It's just
Yeah.
you and the obviously there's like pause for laughs and that sort of a
Yeah,
thing. But
yeah,
like the when
yeah.
you're almost like the way you have like if you've got a punchline.
Yeah.
Do you play with like the amount of seconds or milliseconds
Yeah.
between and you do? It's
Yeah.
like an experiment where you're trying
For sure.
it every night differently.
I would say I should do it more consciously, but what does happen is you have tendencies as a performer. My tendency is to just do the joke and move on and not even address that was the punchline. And I often get
Yeah.
feedback like that hey, if you pause there longer, you could have extracted more from that laugh. But that's sometimes
maybe too methodical.
Yeah, maybe I don't want to do it. Maybe I want you to sort of laugh and maybe forget, like maybe miss a line because I've given you 3 lines back to back. It's fine. But then sometimes I'll find myself consciously being like, no, right now that laugh is different. You got a big pop there. Stay in it for half a second more, I guess. And that's probably what you should do as a performer. A lot of choices I make are the wrong ones, I've been told, which is I almost don't wait for the the applause or the laughs. But then there are these lines where you have to get it. Like, like in my previous show, I knew like this, because if that show, not the one you watch, but the one I used to tour until early this year, that had a storyline. So there was an arc. And so at the end, there was a moment where you have to get a certain amount of reaction. Otherwise,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's the payoff.
It's the payoff.
Yeah.
And I would do whatever it took I would hang out in that moment until I got at least a version of what I expected. Some nights it would
You
just happen.
sit there on stage and wait for a laugh.
Yeah. I mean, just a little bit. You got to just give it with your body language. You've got to perform. I got to tell myself that, because I am very laid back and dry, as you see. But there is performance there. There is always a performance. And I'm always trying to sort of, within the subtleties of my performance, get better every passing month and year and so on.
Yeah. Are you so this is not your first Fringe, second?
Well, I'm not doing the Fringe this year.
Oh, you're not?
No, unfortunately,
I
I'm
thought you
not.
were.
No, I'm just here. I did the run.
Okay, you're doing your little tour
London, and I'm doing a little tour. I'm doing Amsterdam. I'm just trying Amsterdam.
Okay,
Munich,
maybe because we
Berlin.
were talking about the Fringe, I assumed
Yeah,
you were going there.
I did last year. That was the first time. I hope to do next year. We'll see. I'm doing a few dates in Europe, and then I'm doing Australia a couple of dates in August.
Is that for the Australian Fringe?
Well, no, their festival happens. Melbourne festival happens in April.
Okay.
March, April. I'm just going there to just gig there, because I went there last year and I wanted to go again, because there's benefit in going again, because there is an audience there. I found them, a small one, but they'll come to watch me. So I don't want to not go this year with the new show. Just keep that audience sort of, let them know I'm touring.
On edge,
I keep coming. And so, yeah, I'm doing a couple of gigs there. But then I'm just touring my show in India. I hope to tour more extensively abroad next year. Maybe a US tour. We're seeing if that works out.
So, I'm going to revert back a little bit, because we were talking about how, like, India is kind of at the beginning still, I guess, beginning 15, 20 years of stand-up. What is that like combined with what you're talking about with, like, clipping and social media and, like, what must that be like to sort of, like, try to get people to come to your shows via viral social clips? That must be a really weird thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just you got to count your blessings. I don't think too much about it, because I'm in that cycle of you shoot material, you release it, you hope people see it and they come out. And I've been fortunate because I've found like a niche in which to operate, because I'm an all English comic in India, where there are a few of us.
I was going to ask if you'd started in another language.
No, I think in English. English is my first language, for better or for worse. I think in English. I speak Hindi, but and I speak Bengali, but English is I can't be funny in those languages like I can in English.
That's what I was kind of curious about. 'Cause I know there's was it Tom Segura, and he speaks
Sure.
Spanish, and
Yeah.
I don't speak any other languages, so I don't really know
Yeah.
how the jokes translate. And I imagine there's some languages like
Yeah.
within India that maybe like because they're quite a bit older,
Sure.
they don't necessarily have the like the flow or like the phrasing.
No, they have their own version, and you can be funny in like. There's many Hindi comedians.
You
It's
probably need to tell
huge.
different jokes. Though.
Yeah,
They
maybe a
wouldn't
little
work the
bit.
same. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say Hindi, for example, being that's like the language in which there's the most comedy in India in Hindi right now, and it's huge. It's massive. They're like massive stars. They sell out like I don't know stadiums nowadays.
Oh, wow.
They're selling out like.
And you were never tempted to do more than just
No.
English?
I can't do it in Hindi. I do panel shows. We have our own panel shows, and those are usually like English, we say,
Okay.
which is like you can speak English if you want, you can speak Hindi, but you got to understand both a little bit. So in those I throw in Hindi lines because that's in conversation, but I don't think in Hindi. My Hindi isn't like the best.
Fair.
They can tell a core Hindi audience can tell he's not as comfortable in this language.
Okay.
So I'm very much an English speaking comic, and so I found a niche, and yeah, the online stuff is. It just I eventually put my head down for a few months and said you just have to do this in a regimental way and just put stuff out, treat it like a job.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it for a long time, but I'd had these bursts where I would do that, and those bursts are where the social media profile grew.
Right.
And there's a direct link between that and me selling tickets. So I can see
That's good.
the benefit of it. And it's great to have no middleman and essentially do it yourself, which is what I've always wanted ever since I quit my job, regular job. So there's that. But you asked about India and, the sort of landscape there. It's you're always walking a line because we always say you want to go kind of viral, but you also want to get the right kind of viral. Because in India, if you go viral, I think this is not just in India, I think it's all over, but there's degrees to it. But in India, if you go viral, super viral, the comments are going to turn. It's going to be hate.
Well, this is what they say, isn't it? There's no
Yeah.
such thing as bad press.
Yeah.
This is like, I think we were talking about this the other day, is the whole Taylor Swift thing. It's like, I don't really care for Taylor Swift. Some people really love her. But I basically realized that I was putting too much energy into being like, I really don't like her
it's
music.
a waste of time.
Because that was their whole thing.
Yeah.
They programmed it that way. So you either really like Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
or you need to prove to everyone that you really, really don't like Taylor Swift. And that's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's
Yeah, so
brilliant
either way,
propaganda programming.
yeah.
It's just free advertising, basically.
you're playing into their hands either way. By
Yeah.
being the hater,
So
you're like
I
doing
would-
what
I
they
would
want.
think
Yeah.
it would be the same.
Sure, it does. When it happens initially, you don't know how to deal with it. You get worried. Is there some real threat here? Because the truth is, people are much more likely to comment negatively than positively. That's just the
yeah.
human nature. Like,
And you never know what on as well.
Yeah.
Like, I've not gone like properly viral kind of ever.
Yeah.
You get like a couple of hits where maybe
Yeah.
like 50 people or like
Yeah.
150, whatever. But you never quite know,
yeah,
even if it's quite positive.
yeah.
Like, it's usually clips of a podcast, what
Yeah.
people are going to hate and what they're going to like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You get a lot of really positive things. And then on positive
Yeah.
ones, you'll get a bunch of likes. And then
Yeah.
there's some people who just call you a racist or
Yeah,
whatever it is
yeah.
based on like the nicest thing that was said.
True.
And it always impresses me what people like and what they don't like. I never know.
Yeah, and you're right. It is, and they keep using this. I mean, the social media words are vulgar and they're part of our lives, but engagement, right? It's if you get a
Clicks.
lot of clicks, you get a lot of comments. It's engagement. There's like, this sucks. If they say this sucks, someone's gonna reply to that usually who's a fan, and that's beautiful for the algorithm.
The infighting in comments is so funny. It happened recently. There was
Yeah.
a doctor who I interviewed, and he was talking about things that more doctors online are talking about that might be controversial, about a carnivore diet or sunscreen and how it's bad for you. And obviously that's because it's quite hot button, still new, not like fully studied. But,
Yeah.
people will go like, "Oh my god, that's amazing," and other people are like, "Fuck you, you're Satan," and then they
There's
just
snap
fight each other.
judgments both ways. Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't look at Instagram for like a couple of days, and then you open it, and there's people,
Yeah.
and you think they're fighting about you, but they're actually just fighting each other.
each other.
It's
Yeah, that's
so
great.
funny.
When once it moves on to them fighting each other, that's like now you just let that go. That's gonna. I think either way you have to let it go. You just put it out there as long
Yeah.
as you're not really said something.
And they
messed
might
up.
not even be real.
Yeah, of course.
Like it's like 80%. It's like I think more now.
Yeah,
with
they're
AI is
bots.
like bots. So it might well just be bots.
And also sometimes
Mm.
when they're real,
Mm.
and someone who really like takes that time to write out like a paragraph.
Oh, I
of
get
hate.
novellas from some
Yeah.
people. They're like, "Oh, this was this thing that happened
Yeah.
in my life," and I'm like, "Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing."
Well,
Mm.
but I'm saying if this is like a negative one, like someone who's like hating, but with a paragraph of information, chances you don't want to debate that person because they have all the time in the world, and these people are like that's their game. You're getting into their arena.
Yeah.
You should just ignore and move on. That's
It's
the
just
only
so funny the
option.
way that people don't. I read this book recently called "The Coddling of the American Mind," and it's all about how the best way I can describe it is it's reading into snowflakey culture nowadays, like how like
Okay.
little kids. What is it? Gen X is the youngest generation.
Z. And now it's
is it Z?
alpha. Gen
Alpha. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's like I guess Z, Z, Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
How they can't handle things that millennials used to be able to handle. It's like you
Okay.
go to a university and there might be some sort of literature from the 1500s and millennials will just read it because we grew up sort of, I guess
Yeah.
I sort of kind of count myself as a millennial, but technically I'm a Gen Z because of the year I was born. But I feel like I can
Yeah.
understand like references and
What are you,
jokes
96,
between both.
95, 96?
97.
Okay, yeah,
So
Gen Z.
I'm Z,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know. I always thought I was a millennial and I only
Yeah,
found out
that
recently
happens.
I
Yeah,
wasn't.
mentally, yeah.
Yeah, but it's this book about like so for example, millennials will they'll just get on with reading a book.
Yeah.
But now in universities all over America, like schools, they will shut down because they'll go, I refuse to read this book. It's racist, and it's like okay, but like it's part of history, and
Yeah.
history is racist, and like
You can't
it's
not know
still-
history. Yeah.
It's still a very famous book, and we're going to read it and talk about it, and maybe we'll discuss those themes.
Yeah.
And so it's like this. What were we talking about before? It did, I promise, link back to whatever we were talking about. But it's just that difference between generations and how people can't understand things now.
Yeah.
You get like a big rebellious spirit on things that are maybe not as bad as the younger generation claims it is.
Sure.
I do forget what
we were talking about like how you get hate comments, like paragraphs of hate
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah.
on
So people
something.
will like, it talks about how people can't be charitable anymore, right?
Mm.
Someone will get called a racist when they're not necessarily being racist. It's just they're saying something that it might slightly lean in a conservative direction.
Yeah.
And so Daniel Sloss talks about this. Is
Yeah.
like if you don't agree with every single thing, it's like, do you like trans people? Yes, I like trans people. Are you a vegan? I'm not quite a vegan yet. And it's like, then go join the fucking Nazis,
Sure.
you racist. And it's like,
yeah, you get a lot. I mean, that's a common argument we have about like the left being by nature.
the right does it just as bad in some
Sure.
instances.
But the
it's
left
it's
is
a
like
new
by
generational
nature
thing.
we are individualistic, you could say, and
Yeah.
so that can sometimes manifest in like you never form a group because you're always looking for a reason to exclude someone from the group, and it's the instincts are often positive, I think. Like to your point about the generation thing,
Yeah.
because I've given it a lot of thought
Yeah,
personally,
please.
because in India, I mean everywhere it's different, but like in India, I think while I'm a millennial and have the natural tendency to be like Gen Z this and Gen Z that, I do think that the Gen Z are sort of taking on the powers that be better than the millennials did. They're much more like on their feet and getting out there and trying to make change. And maybe it's the same instinct that has negative, impact sometimes of like being too easy to like reject something.
Yeah.
That also helps in sort of standing up to sort of tyrannical governments and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. Because we're seeing that a lot in the subcontinent. It happened in the other countries around India as well recently. So there's something to be said about that. Gen Z are like pretty active and
Yeah, there's definitely a big
proactive, I would say.
pushback. I
Yeah.
don't know so much about like India and that area of the world. I know a little bit more about like Eastern Europe, and there
Yeah.
seems to be a lot of rebellions from
Yeah.
younger people towards people who have maybe been in power for too long, dictators, things like that. There's
Yeah.
been a big pushback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously good sides and bad sides to it, but
Yeah.
it does show its ugly head in things like social media.
Yeah. And also, eventually, when there is going to be change in any place, it's going to be not just one generation that does it. It's going to be a combined effort ultimately. It's not like, oh, are you born before 96,
Yeah.
you're out of the movement. That never happens. You got to do it together.
It does feel like that though.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's all the memes online where like
Yeah.
now everyone's taking the piss out of millennials and things like that. I'm
Sure.
like, come on, man. It's like they're not that old.
But it's gotta happen, dude. It's like I used to get frustrated about it, but now I'm just like I've moved past it. I'm like, yeah, okay. I can see someone of a certain age making fun of like someone 7,
Oh yeah,
8
of course.
years older.
It's the classic thing. I mean, like it's the classic thing of like the older generation has always sort of ripped the piss out of the younger
Yeah.
generation as well.
Yeah.
There's all those what is it like they say like you're playing too many video games and you go to like 1915 and they're like, oh, these kids these days are reading too much.
Yeah,
And you go all the way back to like an ancient fucking tablet in like Greece thousands of years ago and they're like, kids these days they're scrying on tablets too much.
yeah. It's bad for their brains scrolling so much
It'll
on.
melt their brains.
Yeah, they should.
The OG SpongeBob.
Yeah, that's true. It's yeah, man. But technology is just moving at such a rapid speed. We can't even fully comment on
No,
like the Gen Alphas. and-
I can't avoid it.
Yeah.
Always comes up now in like every conversation I have with everyone.
we
I was like,
can't. Yeah.
I had lunch with a mate this afternoon. We were out on a bagel in Brick Lane, and we
Yeah.
were talking about the whole transhumanist thing. And it's,
Mm.
oh my god, it's definitely going that way.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going that way. I sort of thought like maybe we had like 100 or like 200 years.
Yeah, it's much quicker.
Oh my god, it's like 20, maybe not even 20 years away, where people are going to be. Have you seen that recent interview with Mark Zuckerberg where he was talking about the new glasses?
Yeah. What specifically though?
We did talk about this the other day very briefly. So the new Meta glasses, they've like paired with Ray-Ban, because I remember they tried to come out with them years ago and they were real clunky and heavy and nobody wanted to wear them, and now they look real trendy and they just look like normal sunglasses. And they've got the bracelet I think I was telling you about, right? So like you don't even text, you basically like move your
and you can
wrist
text.
a little bit and you can
That's
text like
scary.
30 words a minute or whatever.
Yeah.
And we've got that now, and it's still like the beta version. But like, where are we going to be in 5 years' time?
Yeah. I know it always scares me, those compilations of the AI billionaires not giving a straight answer to a very simple, straight question about, so is humankind important? Should they survive? And it's these evil like Peter Thiel type people who are like, why is coming up in that question? Why is it not clear?
Yeah, it was like Larry Ellison. I keep giving this
Yeah.
example. I can't remember, in some conference, and he was talking about how he was talking about surveillance and how surveillance is never really going to be shut off. And he was
Yeah.
talking about police. You might have seen this one, talking about body cameras. Like if police go to the bathroom, they'll shut off their camera, but it will never really be off. Right, they can turn it off, but if there's a warrant, because if something happens in that bathroom, you can always go back and you can see and you can turn that camera back on or like see whatever. It was never really off, so the cameras are going to be on all the time, even when you think they're off. And that's just the telescreen from 1984.
Yeah, that's Big Brother
is always watching,
always watching.
horrifying.
It's pretty scary, dude. But it seems unavoidable because there are people who worked on these technologies who then ran away from it, and they are warning everyone like, listen, it's over. Like things are moving. This is like a hyperbolic curve. It's just going upwards at a speed. But like you said, we thought we had X number of years before this comes. It's sometimes months.
I think it's now. I think it's going to happen right now. I got worried the other day. I like sort of worried, kind of like just fuck's sake about the whole thing. But everyone always talks about, I've heard comedians talk about this quite a bit as well. When you talk about something in conversation and then your phone comes up with recommendations for it later.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, it's happened too many times for it to not be listening. Like you think it's listening some of the time. And I was like, I'm fully convinced after this thing that's happened. I was talking about someone that I've not seen in years. I'm not going to mention who. But then I opened Instagram and they were suddenly there. And it was the same day. It was like within an hour. And like I'd not seen this person. And I was like, yes, it could be a coincidence. But this has happened like 17 times in the last month. Or like you talk about like, oh, I really want to get, I forget what those things are called. An electric unicycle, right? Those wheels that people ride through.
Yeah.
And like, I've never talked about that before in my life. And next thing I know, I'll go on Instagram and I'm seeing ads for electric unicycles, like every other ad. And I'm like, okay, so it's literally listening all the time and like just immediately programming that into my Instagram, and it is just listening all the time.
It's listening, and then sometimes you maybe have texted someone something, and then you see an ad for that, and you're like, well, What is this? The double encryption and all
Well,
of
if you
that?
follow the
Yeah.
path, it actually makes sense, right? Because
Yeah.
like Meta owns WhatsApp
Yeah, they.
and they own Instagram and Facebook
Yeah.
and TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, I think Israel kind of
Not.
owns part of
Do they
TikTok
on
now, but
TikTok?
um,
Okay.
Israel I think bought a large chunk of TikTok. But yes, I think it's Meta, like originally owned it. I think so. But it's that thing, they're all linked to each other.
Yeah.
So it's just going into whatever server. And then they said recently that WhatsApp is no longer encrypted, right? That was like a week or two ago.
Yeah. They
And I was
just
like,
said
well, we
that.
didn't think it was in the
Yeah. We.
in the first
You're
place.
just now not lying.
You're
to
just
us
admitting
anymore.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, they've just these services are so entrenched. If you want to call them that, they're just entrenched in our lives. It's so much. They're just like we're on the IV drip of these apps, and
But this is what
it's-
people are saying is like
Yeah.
you don't want to get the glasses, right?
Yeah.
But nobody had an iPhone 25 years ago,
True.
right? Now everyone's got one. And not
Yeah.
only does everyone have one, everyone's hooked on it all the time. So when they come out with glasses and they go, actually, you know, at some point, I reckon in the near future, Apple's going to go, we actually don't make the iPhone anymore. We only make the glasses. And so you're like, well, fine, I'll just stick with my phone then. And then you stick with your phone. And then what happens to iPhones is 5 years from now, they don't do anything.
Yeah.
And they're slow and they
Yeah,
take
yeah.
pictures weird.
They
and you're
stop
like-
supporting the product.
Yeah.
And it's over.
It's like the PlayStation thing. Did you see the PlayStation thing?
But the physical
Yeah,
CD thing.
It's done.
Yeah.
It drives me insane.
Yeah,
Because like
yeah.
we love that. Like
Yeah.
we go to Sex is the name of the shop that we've got here.
Mhm.
And you go in, it's like I guess the equivalent of GameStop in the US for people who don't know what Sex is. You go in and you get a secondhand game. And they give you like a certain amount of like a day or two to like get a full return.
Okay.
And so you can try out the game and you're like, oh, this really isn't my thing. You know, for example, like Ghost of Tsushima, brilliant game. And now there's loads of different Japanese style samurai
Sure.
games that come out. Some of them play kind of differently, Assassin's Creed, whatever. And you're like, this isn't really for me. So you bring it back, try something else. You've not lost any money.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, because now it's not there is nothing to give you.
No.
You just get on
There's
it.
no second hand.
Yeah.
So you will have to get every game brand new
Yeah.
for £70. And if you don't like it, oh well, you got to get another one.
It's ridiculous. You don't physically own things anymore. That's what we're moving towards, right? Nothing is yours. It's theirs. The streaming platforms, like everything's on their platform. And then the thing happens, which is you never get to watch the movie you want to watch. That's never on it.
That's what people talk about. Is like you've got all the streaming platforms in the world, and you still don't have a good movie to watch.
Yeah. It's never, because at least with me, I approach it differently. I don't want to watch what they recommend to me. I have an idea of what I want to watch. That's all I'm holding on to. I want to choose the film. And then very often that's like it's just left their collection. Like Netflix has got rid of that thing that it had a month ago.
Yeah.
So I
But now
mean,
they're recommending things to you as well.
Yeah.
There's like an advert the other day for a television. I don't know if it was like if it was connected to anything. What is that? Like a Fire Stick or anything like
Yeah.
that. But it was a TV or a smart box or an Apple TV or whatever, and you can now ask the AI Siri or whatever the version is to recommend you. You go, oh my God, we're having a little. I think the example they give is like, we're having a family night. Recommend us a fun family movie. And so it'll just give you a movie. And so you don't even need to like look anymore. You don't need to make the decision.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're just slowly crawling towards. I don't even think it's Wall-E. I used to think it was Wall-E. I don't think it's Wall-E anymore.
what is it then?
I don't know, like iRobot or like Cyberpunk. Where like it's all going to be in your head. What is it? What's the one with Blade Runner style thing?
Yeah.
Where like everyone's sort of a cyborg. Some of us are robots, but we don't really know the difference. I saw today, I think it was China actually. There was a Chinese tech conference where they've now officially got. I know they've come out with versions of this over time, but it feels like the first like official thing
Yeah.
of like an AI chatbot girlfriend, right? So it's this kind of sexy Asian
There you go.
looking woman. I don't think it's a sex robot, but that's not far away. Sex robots exist, but this is not one of them. This is
Got
like
it.
it's got an AI LLM in the bot,
Ah.
and so you can sit and just have conversations.
Well-
and it has some sort of special AI skin, so it will like it can sense where you're touching it as well.
Oh God!
I saw something the other day
We're
that they've, like-
we're moving towards it then.
Yeah,
It's
they've
pretty
figured out
clear.
like hands, like AI robot hands, and so like
Yeah.
I've got a friend who worked for Google, and she was always talking about how kind of shit the whole thing is. Like you see the like conferences with Google, and the robot comes out and does something and like washes a dish, and you're like, wow, and it's like the robot might not have nailed that interview. It's like it's fucked it loads of times, and these things will just punch the wall or like smash it or fall apart or fall over all the time.
I've seen it kick a child once, and like a robot just kicked a child and went flying.
There was the Indonesian thing that happened recently. Did you see this? There was like an Indonesian robot in a factory, and it like glitched out and just started kicking people.
Oh,
it started like it went into like Bruce Lee mode and just started like kicking the shit, and people like tried to like stop it, and it would just be like,
how do you stop it? How do you stop a robot that wants to kill? It's very difficult. But yeah, man, this is we were talking about 1984, which is of course a very bleak and very often quoted version of the dystopia that we could expect. But there's also, if you've read Brave New World,
this is I've had this chat with a couple of people. It seems like we're more going towards the Brave New World.
Yeah, but they just keep you happy with the social media and just plugged into
what was it called? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Really bad. The drug they give you.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
I don't know, but yeah, it does feel more like that than 1984, where everyone kind of like freely submits rather than
and you tell yourself you're having a great time and you're happy. The governments basically distract you with the happiness drug, and then they do whatever they want to do.
Which is the social media thing.
Yeah.
No, it's terrifying.
That's where this is going.
Oh, God. It does feel like that.
It comes back to it. This CBD, it's good, dude. I like this.
How are you doing for time?
You could do like, I don't know, 15, 20 more minutes if that's fine.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we cheer it up a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. We should talk about happy things.
Happy things.
What's happy?
What's positive? Well, I mean, like, it's not. I was saying this to you the other day that like you've been doing this for 10 years. You were saying, and you've just like exploded in that time, and that's really exciting. And like
fun.
That couldn't have been done without social media.
True. You gotta. That's true. That's the other side. There's no way you reach these many people. The one moment I had. And I don't have too many. Like, I got to clarify, I'm not like some crazy level of famous. I'm just an interesting... Well, thanks. But there's an interesting level of fame that you can get to through social media.
Yeah.
But I was just in Melbourne doing like another walking tour. So clearly I love doing those things.
Is it like a specific type of walking tour?
Yeah, that one was...
it's not like a ghost hunt or...
It wasn't a ghost hunt, but it was a... I don't remember, coffee-related tour or something. It was specific, not just a general history of Melbourne. And a random person on the street came up to me and said, I've seen, and the way he said it to me made me realize, like, he's just a guy who saw a reel of mine on Instagram.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then he came up, he's like, this makes no sense. I saw you on Instagram, and I thought
now you're here. You're
yeah, and he's not even like that level of fan. But it was a real sort of moment for me. I'm like, that's the power of social media. If it's like, if it can work in your favor. I know that's nothing insane. That's how it works. But to actually meet a guy who just saw me in a reel, and
if you can game it, I think that's great. I had a musician on a couple of months ago on the podcast, and we were talking about influencers, because I had this theory of influencers that like you get your tits out and you sell Sony cameras or whatever.
Okay.
And he was saying that he knew a couple of people who were, and that to their credit, a lot of influencers, they seem kind of fake, but that's the version of themselves that they're presenting. They're actually quite genuine people, and they just know how to play the social media game.
So it's all part of the act, essentially.
You might get some people that are just there for money and clicks, and like that's their whole aim in life. But I think a lot of people are just genuine people, and then they just put on this like persona of like, I'm a really fun person, or I'm a really cool guy, and I'm going to show you this thing. And to give them the credit I suppose they deserve, they're just playing the social media game.
So would you say a lot of them might be like actors? Because this seems like
it's performing. I don't know any.
It's method acting, essentially, in a way, is it?
I don't even know if it's method acting. It's just you turn on the camera.
No, it's not method. Yeah, it's like, just on camera. Yeah.
You turn on the camera and you perform while you're on camera, and then you turn it back off.
It's classic acting. That's what acting is.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you classic acting? You know, when you just pretend. Do you? I find it, because I am a film buff, but I find myself checking myself with this. Do I really know what good acting is. Because I'm like, with wine, I'm no wine expert,
Mm.
but if someone tells me this is good wine, I'm like, yeah, this is probably good wine.
I got a bit of that
Yeah.
think I was telling you I was in Italy
Yeah.
like a week or 2 weeks ago, and we
Yeah.
got to experience that for the first time. And I
Yeah.
don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about the wine thing.
Yeah.
But it was nice for like a night to be like,
Yeah.
oh, let's nerd out about wine with someone who really knows
Correct.
about it, which is cool.
But
Acting, I feel,
yeah, because
it's
I
so
feel
subjective.
I
It's
feel
like comedy.
Yeah.
You got people who like really like, I don't know, Colin Farrell, and you got people who really hate Colin Farrell.
True.
The people who really like James McAvoy, I'm a big fan of James McAvoy.
Yeah, he's
Other
great.
people really hate him.
But then there's there is something called bad acting.
Oh,
though.
100%.
So then there's that. Like,
There's a difference between like comedians who people like and don't like versus people who are starting out that don't know what they're doing. There's
Yeah.
a way to get better.
correct.
And then there's just some, I don't know why. I don't know why it is. There's just some people who like, you could have won more Oscars than anyone in the world.
Mm.
I spoke to someone the other day. It was on the radio. I don't remember who it was, and I probably shouldn't say it even if I did. But I was talking about Gary Oldman, and they're like, "God, I hate Gary Oldman." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "How?
Yeah.
How can you hate?" But some people just, there's a quote that my partner and I say to each other all the time. She saw it on Instagram. It was something there. I don't actually know who originated it, but you could be the ripest, juiciest peach in the entire world, and there will be someone out there who doesn't like peaches.
Yeah. That's true.
Mm.
And then there's the actors like Pacino, Al Pacino, for example. He's essentially most of his roles he's playing Al Pacino. I feel like
Yeah.
I love it
Mm.
because he's just got that ability to. And then I'm like, am I really appreciating acting, or am I just a fan of this person?
It's a different thing. It's
Yeah.
I saw a film last night and I felt quite racist because of it. It's called Waste Man. It's a very, very good film. And I was watching this film and I was blown away by the lead actor. And I realized halfway through it was because I thought he was a different actor who I'd seen in something else as another black British actor. And to be fair, they look incredibly similar by their poster. And I was like, this man must be fucking incredible.
So you
'cause
thought
he
the
looks like a
range,
different
you thought
person.
crazy
Yeah.
range,
And then I got into a discussion about range because we were talking about Daniel Day-Lewis, who's
Yeah.
arguably the only person I can think of off the top of my head who like becomes a different person.
Yeah.
Right. If you watch like Gary Oldman, very good actor.
Yeah.
When you watch him in different stuff, it's still a version of Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of an outdated thing that actors talk about is like, what's your range? And it's like, there's some people right now, I'm not going to say names, but people who are coming up who are very big in a lot of big films and they just kind of play themselves.
Yeah.
Martin Freeman is an example
Yeah.
from a long time ago. Like, yeah, he diversifies a little bit, but for the most part, 90% of what he
Yeah.
plays is kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, he's very good at it. He's very believable. I very much enjoy
Yeah.
watching him be him.
Yeah.
But he's not Daniel Day-Lewis.
Jesse Eisenberg, I think of. He's always Jesse
100%.
Eisenberg. I can never see him as anything else. He's himself.
And that's why people cast him.
Yeah.
Like, you get the comedic actors as well. Seth Rogen, for
Yeah.
example. Seth Rogen is always
Yeah,
Seth
Seth
Rogen.
Rogen, yeah.
You know, he's great. Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell's always Will Ferrell. He might be like a cartoonish version of
Yeah.
something different, but
Yeah.
like you go for a specific type of thing.
But then I feel it's easier with the Will Ferrells of the world because they're operating in a space where it's almost not required for you to disappear into a role. He's not like a Daniel Day-Lewis is like of course the ultimate example. Like he changes his lifestyle for that film,
Oh, yeah.
and then he becomes that
Yeah.
person.
But then some people like
Yeah.
really hate that. Some people
Yeah.
really rail against that. There was my favorite example. What was it called? The Power of the Dog, which was a film with Benedict Cumberbatch. I think it was nominated for loads of stuff or won loads of stuff a few years ago. It was like the gay cowboy film. It was based on a book.
Okay.
I didn't think it was a very good film, but Benedict Cumberbatch famously, and this could all be tabloid stuff, and I could
Yeah.
be completely wrong, but from what I read, he went method for the role.
Okay.
So he like didn't shower. He was like the dickhead cowboy in the film, and you find out at the end that he was secretly gay and closeted, and the reason he was being a dick was to try to like mask his.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he didn't take any showers, and he smoked so many real cigarettes instead of herbal cigarettes that he gave himself nicotine poisoning.
Oh wow.
And he was good friends with Mads Mikkelsen at the time because they'd done a load of stuff together, like Doctor Strange, and because that was kind of the thing that was happening that year. Loads of actors were winning nominations or awards for method acting.
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen came out in an interview and was like, no, I think someone asked him, and I was like, do you do method acting? And he was like, no, I think it's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And Mads Mikkelsen is arguably one of the best.
Yeah, he's
Like,
great.
if you've watched his Danish
I-
films, I
yeah,
think they're some of the
yeah.
best
I think
things.
Another Round I watched.
Another Round,
it was great.
Men and Chicken.
Mm.
Have you seen?
No, I haven't watched that.
One of the best films I've ever seen.
Okay, I'll check it
Highly
out.
recommend to everyone. It's very
Okay.
funny. But he was talking about this, and it's like it just depends on the actor. Daniel
Yeah.
Day-Lewis, I imagine, is slightly better because he went and stayed in a cave or got beaten up by
Yeah.
Northern Irish police for
Yeah.
3 days without sleep.
Yeah.
Whereas Mads Mikkelsen wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And it just depends on.
I think I saw that with Brian Cox as well. He said that about
Right.
about I forget the name of the guy who you watched Succession.
Yeah.
So the guy
Yeah.
who plays Kendall, he who's playing
It's been so
Zuckerberg in the
long since I
new.
watched it.
He's playing Zuckerberg in the
Oh
new.
yes. Yeah. I can't remember his name. But I
Yeah,
know
but
who you're talking about.
he goes.
He was a
method.
weird choice for Zuckerberg.
Yeah, but he goes method.
Mm.
And
Does he?
Yeah, and
That
Brian
makes
Cox
sense for
was
him.
like, yeah, that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
And he's just playing his father in the
Mm.
same show.
Mm.
So yeah, it's choices. But I think with what happened is Daniel Day-Lewis is just so good at it, and his product, the final product
yeah.
is so. I think I watched Phantom Thread recently, which
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hadn't
yeah.
watched. I think
It was a
it's
great
one
film.
of the best films I've ever. It's just so good.
Which is funny because he's still not my favorite actor.
Who is?
I really like James McAvoy. He's been my favorite for a long time. I think
James
I used to
McAvoy's
be
good.
obsessed with Mark Rylance. I think he's really good.
Mm.
He's a very good stage actor as well. I've got a really big respect for actors who have come from
The stage. Yeah.
which doesn't really happen so much anymore. You had the sort of generation of like Judi Dench, Ian McKellen,
Yeah.
Maggie Smith,
Maggie Smith.
that sort of like era.
Yeah.
I don't actually know that much about Patrick Stewart's career. I feel like he started off in screen quite early. Still very good.
Yeah.
But like that generation of actor who like started off in stage and
Yeah.
then moved to screen.
Yeah.
It's just a kind of a different caliber that you don't really see.
They do really well in Hollywood, though. These
Oh,
the
yeah.
stage actors. There's like
No, that's what I mean. I think if you can act
Yeah.
on a stage and really give
Yeah.
something, I think it's easier to
yeah,
scale it down. Though that's the wrong word for a film.
yeah,
Because film, you basically do nothing.
yeah,
Whereas you get film actors who haven't acted on a stage, a bunch of American actors, and
go
so,
big.
like don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
sometimes they're really good. I think Bryan Cranston is quite good on a stage.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey, but he did a lot of theatre before as well, and he's a controversial
yeah,
figure.
yeah.
But you get a lot of American actors that'll come over because they get cast in something, and then they sell loads of tickets in the West End, right? And they're sometimes not very good.
So when you say not very good, give me like what are the metrics that, or what do you look at and you're like they're not
They
it's
don't
not believable.
It's there's just a difference between stage and screen acting.
Yeah.
People don't realize when you're acting for a camera, you're really not. I mean, depending on the scene, obviously, if it's a big emotional scene, but for the most part, you're
Yeah.
really not doing very much.
Yeah.
Like the big thing about screen acting is if we're talking to cameras right now. Like
Yeah.
we're talking to each other. We're not
Yeah.
like acting for the
Yeah,
camera. But
yeah.
if there's a stage, you're kind of like heightening what you're saying and talking about it
Yeah.
as if there's people there, which
Yeah.
you're not doing for the camera. There's just two of us talking, and it almost feels like we're doing nothing right now. Like
Correct.
we're not acting. Right
Yeah. Yeah.
now. But we arguably could be
Yeah.
having a genuine conversation if this was,
Yeah.
put us in a pub, change the whole scenery, take the microphones away. Stage acting, you have to, like, I give the example of I was in an opera. I wasn't an opera singer. There's a opera called Deadpan Walking. And it's got this kind of horrible scene at the start. So it's a true story that was turned into a book that was turned into an opera about a nun that goes to visit a man in prison who wants to repent for his sins because it was in America, I want to say in the 70s or the 80s.
Was this the Johnny Depp movie? Did they make a movie out of this?
I think there
Okay,
was
maybe.
a movie.
But I just remember Dead Man Walking. Maybe it might be something
I think
else.
there was a movie. I don't think I've seen
Yeah.
it though. And it was about a guy and his brother who are high and drunk, and they sneak up on this young couple one night who are having a romantic evening by a lake, and they brutally rape the girlfriend and murder both people. Both of the men go to prison. For some reason, you only follow this one guy's story. I think his brother and he go to different prisons. And a nun goes to visit him and writes about her experiences, like visiting this guy in prison who I think has the death penalty, so wants to
Yeah.
repent for his sins before
Yeah.
this. So I had to do this opening scene because I think in the script for the opera, it says this needs to be done by actors, not opera singers, because we
Yeah.
weren't singing. It was
Yeah.
just this whole 10 to 15 minute scene before the actual singing
Yeah.
starts, where we act out like we're this couple in
Yeah.
love by this lake. We go skinny dipping.
Mm.
We make love with like young love,
Yeah.
and then these guys come out and beat the fuck out of
Yeah.
us and kill us. It's brutal.
Yeah.
And I had essentially a sort of a sex scene on
Yeah.
stage on this massive proscenium arch in
Oh my
Scotland.
God, yeah.
And what I said to people is this was the kind of beginnings of intimacy direction. So we had an intimacy director
Okay.
who's now really going places in the world. She's kind of moved on from school and she's done House of the Dragon and stuff. It's
wow.
great. So it's like
Okay.
kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
But I was saying if we actually had sex on stage, if we genuinely had sex on
Yeah.
stage, it probably wouldn't look like it to the audience. Because it's so small, it's such a small motion that like when you're on stage, you really have to like
you gotta perform it.
choreograph.
Yeah, it's what you think sex looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're on film, theoretically, that's been a thing with some controversial films. There was that one with Marlon Brando that was quite controversial.
The
There was one
Last
with Mark
Tango in
Rylance.
Paris.
Last Tango, a very weird film.
Yeah, I've not watched.
No, it wasn't very good.
I just know about the horrible shit that.
Yeah.
I couldn't catch it before I found out all about it, and now I'm like, I haven't watched it.
It's not a very good film.
Yeah.
I went to watch it because of the controversial thing, and I got bored and I actually gave up before the controversial bit. I was like, this film isn't very. It's like
You know.
you did this horrible thing to this actress
Yeah.
for not a good pay. Like one, it's not worth it in any context. I should make that
in a
quite clear.
creative
But
way
two,
also.
it was a shit film.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I do. Since you brought it up, I do. It is a gripe I have with sex scenes in movies. I just feel like they never get it right. It never feels like this is how sex happens. But they just want to show sex and make you feel like you're watching a sex scene, which you do, but it's not how it happens. And it just feels unrealistic with the putting the blanket up just because for censorship reasons.
Yeah.
Don't show the sex scene. I think we're fine without the sex scene.
That
then.
happens. I think that. God, I can't remember. I saw something the other day where that happened.
Yeah.
Which is always quite a clever thing when they go back to like the old-fashioned movie way of showing sex, which is like they have a little snog and then they're like lying there like smoking cigarettes
Yeah,
afterwards.
just
which is
it's like Reservoir Dogs. You don't show the bank robbery. You just show before and after. The movie is both sides of the bank robbery. You don't see the robbery.
but it wasn't about that anyway, was it? Like,
Yeah,
it's like when you
exactly.
see, it's a thing now they're doing in horror films. So like they went through that phase of like showing the monster, and sometimes they still do, but I can't remember what it was. It was a new film, and they did like an old-fashioned style thing where like you just see like the shadow of the monster on the wall, and I was like, that's really clever.
Yeah,
Like,
when
not
done
for every
right.
film.
Yeah. It's good when it's done right. But I do think it's because in censorship's a big thing in India. So the famous big budget, it's all tying everything together. This is Nolan's previous film, Oppenheimer. There was a sex scene there.
With what's her face? I can't remember.
Was
Why am I forgetting her name?
yeah.
Brilliant actress, and she got her tits out for that.
Yeah, so in India they I think used AI or something, and she's in a dress. Like she's in like a black dress in that scene.
Wow.
So that's the first time they kept a scene in, because it was essential to the movie. That's like
of
it's
course.
moving the narrative forward.
Yeah.
So they really struggled with how do we cut that one. So they didn't. She's in a dress.
Like censored
Big time.
nudity.
Huge on censoring nudity. We're very double standards with that aspect. Violence, we're showing a lot of violence nowadays, and there's no censorship on violence.
Yeah.
The mainstream
Like
films,
Indian films as well. Like I've seen
Yeah.
are like quite gruesome.
Yeah, so mainstream blockbuster films now have a lot of violence in them, and I'm like, I just can't picture a family going together to watch this, but it's happening. It's very popular. There are contexts of patriotism in that. So whenever it's like you throw that in there, it's like, yeah, it's fine. We can beat up our enemies however much we want. And it's kind of desensitize people to
sleep
violence.
with each other.
No, we can't show that. That's taboo. We don't.
Which is weird because like the whole thing is like in America or here is like you've got the ratings. For films. So like you don't need to censor it.
Yeah,
'cause
we still have
people under a
ratings.
certain age.
Yeah.
That's weird though.
Yeah, we just we don't believe in leaving that up to the public. But what happens is,
Yeah.
I mean, you piracy,
And then everyone goes home and watches porn.
yeah, and piracy. We just pirate the original version of a film.
Yeah.
If you're gonna cut a scene and you catch it in the theater and it's so annoying that you like there was a cut there. I'm gonna go back and find out what that scene was. Often it's not a sex scene; it's just something they've said, or I don't know. Sometimes you don't even know what they're censoring.
So I can't bother, like when I go back for Christmas and I watch films with my family and like they still have, I think it's like Direct TV or something, like the old channels. And you'll have a film that has maybe some violence or language or something in it. And they'll cleverly cut the commercials around that. And I'm like, first off, why the fuck are we still watching things with commercials in 2026?
hell?
What?
Yeah.
Why? And it's like long as well.
Yeah.
It's like longer. Like
Yeah,
the
just-
thing here is ITV.
Yeah.
Or is it Channel 4? I think it's Channel 4. Like you watch more minutes of adverts than an
Yeah.
actual show.
Yeah.
And the show you're watching is an episode that's like 20 minutes long and there's like 30 minutes of ads.
Yeah,
and it's
we
like,
have
what?
that too.
Why?
Yeah.
But then they'll cut out like the most gruesome
Yeah.
things. Whereas sometimes you go on planes and sometimes they cut out the gruesome things, but sometimes they
Sometimes
just
they don't.
yeah.
And sometimes I'm little like I don't know if I want to be in this seat and I'm looking like is it one
Yeah.
of those screens where you can't see from an angle?
There's sometimes, well, because I don't really watch. Sometimes I'll watch movies on planes, but often what I'll do is I'll just download some stuff and watch it on my laptop.
Yeah.
And
9/11, you're watching 9/11 footage.
I really wanted to watch Snakes on a Plane,
Yeah,
and
that's
we watched it when we got back.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
really glad that we didn't watch it on the plane. I highly recommend that you don't watch that film if you never
Yeah.
like watch it. It's a
I've
great
watched
film.
it. I've watched it.
Don't watch it on a plane because you
Yeah.
will just like go to the bathroom and you'll just be
Yeah.
that the whole
You know
time.
the other I mean the realistic film to not watch on the plane is Flight, Denzel Washington's Flight. Have you watched it?
Did I see that one?
It's where he's a pilot and he was drunk
Yeah.
out of his mind
Yeah,
flying the
yeah,
plane,
yeah.
a commercial airliner, and he flies it upside
was-
down and he
Oh,
lands it eventually.
which wasn't that a true story?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm confusing.
Oh
That
wait,
with
no, it's not.
Sully.
Sully is the true story. But
Yeah.
there was no alcohol there. That was just he saved everybody by landing on the Hudson River.
But then it was found out that but wasn't I'm confusing those two
No,
films.
yeah, you're mixing them up. The Flight is not based, as far as I know, on a true story. It's a fictional story, but it
Okay.
messes you up about flying
Oh god,
for
I
a
didn't realize. I
while.
was telling someone about that the other day, and I realized I might have confused those two films now.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think there's a lot of censorship on television and OTT streaming platforms in India. So a lot of people just still find websites to
oh
watch.
yeah, it's super popular here. Like
Yeah.
you can get a VPN and you can just watch
Yeah.
anything anywhere nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to like censor. Well, this is a whole nother topic that we don't have time for.
Yeah,
but
we don't have time for.
the children's safety ban. in
Yeah,
the
I've
UK.
seen that. Yeah,
And
yeah.
It's like you can just go on a VPN.
Yeah.
Like kids know what a VPN is now.
You're essentially creating another kind of contraband. That's all. And contraband
Mm.
is going to it has its own market which will thrive.
Well, you know the one of my favorite. Well, I'll finish on this little fun
Yeah.
fact because I know you gotta go. You got places to be, busy man. Got meetings.
I got just one meeting and I'm out of here.
Was the you wouldn't steal a car advert? You remember this? You ever see this? It was a thing in. Was it a thing in? I think it was America and here. You ever see
Okay.
it? It's
No, I don't
an
remember.
advert all about like don't pirate things online.
Got it.
You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't rob a bank.
Yeah.
You wouldn't whatever. And it's like, you never saw this?
No.
You need to go and watch this
Okay.
afterwards. If people haven't seen this, you need to go. It's like
Yeah.
all this really like bait like text.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
and there's like this guy like sort of like early 2000s style like breaking into a car and it's
Yeah.
like you wouldn't steal a car. And it's all about like then don't fucking pirate
Yeah.
films online.
Yeah.
And people found out 10 to 15 years later the music used in that advert was pirated.
Oh, perfect.
It was great.
That's such a I love when that happens. I
Mm.
love when they that's so good.
Mm.
But also some people would steal a car. I feel like sometimes
That's a fair point.
and sometimes you're putting that idea in someone's head who never thought about it before. I feel like someone who's into pirating.
Well, that was
would
the
be
old
like-
argument with video games,
Yeah.
wasn't it? That like
Yeah.
if you played Call of Duty, that you were going to go and shoot up a school, and like
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's true. I think
Yeah.
that would happen in more places.
Yeah.
I mean, like it happens obviously all over America.
For sure, but
yeah.
like, we don't know. Correlation is not causation, so we don't know.
Good to
Maybe-
end with a bit of science.
Yeah, always. Cheers.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. Cheers.